This is be an interesting show.
Oh, see, Joyce, you got to adjust the microphone, make sure it's all set.
We are a relaxed show
Look
today.
At this. Look at this.
I love the color of your socks.
Yeah.
Oh, we're both in blue. That matches that.
I'd like to say a big thank you to all of our sponsors. Woodwinds Wedding and Special Events Venue and Silvio Sauces, thewoodwinds.com. Ascend Bank. They don't just see your accounts, they see your vision and ambitions. Ascend.bank. Moonshots, a vegan-based company that delivers the highest quality organic juices, coffee, bowls, and so much more. DrinkMoonshots.com. Linda Toscano of Caldwell Banker Realty in Guilford, Connecticut. With over 17 years of experience, Linda is known for her authentic, client-focused approach and expert guidance for buyers and sellers. Now, if you're thinking about making a move, Linda Toscano is someone you can trust. We're deeply grateful to all of our sponsors for their support and for partnering with us to uplift and enrich the lives of our listeners and viewers.
I was going to say a blue show today, but doesn't that mean like
Remember the Blue Men?
dirty jokes or
The
something?
Blue Men. They were those great entertainers.
They're still around.
Are they around still?
How do they breathe in that? Isn't that toxic?
Oh, I guess
I want to ask the blue men that.
Yeah, right. We'll have
Because-
to get the Blue Men on our show.
Okay, they'll match our walls.
Match our whole set here. Well, welcome to another edition
Yes.
of What's Good with John and Joyce, available on all streaming platforms. Subscribe if you haven't already on YouTube. It's free. Share it with everybody you know and let them know that there's good news here on this platform.
Yeah,
right?
share it with people you don't know.
Exactly. Share it with your friends, your enemies. We don't care as long as you share it, right? So we're going to just kind of like do an impromptu episode today.
Yeah. You know, as I was driving here, I was thinking, because I happen to have a discussion going on at my house. The only time I hear about news is when my son and my grandson bring up stuff and they're talking. They're like my news station that I don't want to hear.
Right.
So as I'm driving, I'm thinking, how do people do it who listen to the news all the time? How
I
do
just
they
can't- it
do
just makes
that?
you- I always
Why
think it
do
makes
you
you
do that?
Cynical,
Why?
grouchy, and I don't want to put that stuff in my head. And keep in mind, Joyce, you and I have talked about this before. The news is the same. Listen for 10 or 15 minutes. It's on a cycle.
Right.
And you've already gotten your updates. If you want to check in later on in the day, go for it. But just to have that constantly pounding
Right.
into your being, letting
Yeah.
that seed grow in your body.
I turn it on every morning and skip right to our local station, WTNH, and I listen to Gil or whoever's doing the
By the
weather.
way, from Gently, we have Mackenzie coming on.
Oh, yeah, Mackenzie coming on.
She'll be coming
yes.
on in a future episode.
But I listen to a little bit of local and the weather
Right.
because that's all we all need to know. Can we do anything about any other country? Can we stop anything? Yeah, so I do probably what you do. I find great relief, which I discovered later on in life, really. Like, let it go, pray to God. I can't stop wars. I can't stop if I see someone with a dog that I think they probably shouldn't be the owner of that dog. You know, I used to do that and take dogs. You get in trouble for doing that.
Had a whole house of dogs.
Yeah,
puppy dogs.
yeah,
nice.
fine. You know, but like things that bothered me like that, I just released it and said, you know what? This is not up to me. I can't fix everybody. I can't fix anybody.
Like we said in a previous, same here, in a previous episode, you got to bless and release.
Yeah.
We don't have that power. That's a lot of responsibility. We're not meant to go out and have that much pressure to think that we can change. It's like even people on Facebook who come up with a certain ideology or whatever, and they try to change people's minds.
Bless
It's
and
frustrating.
release.
Just,
You can't change
roll
people's
with it. Like
minds.
we both
No.
use social media to uplift people,
Right.
right? If you go to my page or your page, there's never going to be any negativity, no politics.
Never.
Never, 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 never. There's too much
Never.
of that out there.
Sometimes when you say something quietly to someone, and again, I go back to my wise mother who would say, you know, if this person is doing something you don't like or hit you wrong this way, if you quietly say something to them, sometimes in the middle of the night, they'll think about it. And you may make that little difference. But when you come out at someone loud, they can't hear you.
If you're bullying or
Right,
just hammering
right.
something, have a conversation. A lot of times I'll peel back the layers.
Yeah,
I'll say, well, why do you think that way?
right.
And they'll say what they do. Okay, and now why do you feel that way? And then eventually, so many times I find out we have a lot more in common.
Yes.
We just have a different way of presenting it.
Yes.
But I mean, I'll listen to that person. And most of these people, Joyce, they want to be heard.
Yes.
You know that being a therapist, people just want to be seen.
Right.
And so many people go through life feeling unseen and like they don't matter. So
Mhm.
sometimes they'll use the big bully pulpit of social media
Mhm.
and say things because they just want to be heard.
Yeah.
And so I'll give
that's
them that
true.
respect of listening, even if I don't necessarily agree with it. But I'll
Right.
say, well, tell me why you feel that way.
Yeah, because if you ever say to someone, "Well, that's stupid,"
No,
or
no,
"You're an
that's
idiot," or that they shut you off, and you start an argument, and you've fortified them that they're right.
it
By
happens.
you
That's a
saying,
great point because it happens when I go into the gym a lot. I feel like I'm being baited, and I do
uh,
not take the bait.
yeah,
Depending, and it's
yeah, I
happened
know
on
that feeling.
both
Yeah,
sides of the
yeah,
political
yeah,
aisle. Many
yeah.
times they'll say something about so and so, and I'll just change the subject.
Right,
I say, listen, life is too short.
right.
What's good in your life right now? What are you happy about? Let's talk about your
Yes.
family,
Oh
right?
my God, can we just get T-shirts that we just wear all the time and say what's good?
Right. What's
And
good?
then we
That's how
just
we
point.
came up with
I
the title of the
know.
show. What's
I know.
good? Because
Tell me what's
tell me what's
good.
good today in your life.
Yeah, to go back to almost our first show, that's one of the reasons why you and I got together doing the show, because I realized that you spoke really like along the lines of what I was speaking. So in my practice, when people come in and they want to dump all their troubles, which only festers it more,
It does.
I would stop them and say, first, tell me what's good in your life. And they may say nothing, and I go, no, no. Stop and think about it. Tell me something good that happened today. And it changed the whole conversation, their demeanor, their breath, everything. And usually ended up with a smile on their face. So if you keep that going and you compound that within your body, within your mind, you do begin to see automatically what's good. But you have to keep that going. You know, it's sort of like what? Like working out. You don't just work out once and expect to have,
Oh,
great
some
muscle
people. When
tone.
I used to train
Well, they
people at
do.
the gym all the time, they think, "Oh, if I've changed my nutrition, I work out for a day, I'm going to be competing in a physique show
Right,
tomorrow."
right.
We live in a world now where people want it yesterday,
Yes.
right? But the
Yeah.
thing is, we need to nurture people. I think speak faith into people.
Consistency is the key.
That's the whole thing, consistency.
Yeah.
And motivation, as we say, is an inside job. You can't force anybody to do anything. It's like the old adage, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink.
Mm,
But you could speak faith and you can encourage them. And people
right.
need encouragement now more than ever because the world's beating them up,
Yeah.
or it's trying to anyway.
But you were so dedicated to your health. Were you always that way?
More so when I hit like the age of 30, like 5 years ago.
Yeah.
And when I hit the age of 30,
I think it was only 2 years ago. Yeah.
I got really serious. I did my first physique show at that point, and I've done a whole bunch of them since then. I may do another one in about a year and a half, 2 years.
So like prior to that, did you have kind of the mindset of, I don't know, being diligent about things?
Yeah, because
or-
I was involved in sports,
so that helped.
in junior high school and high school. My dad was very, very big on keeping me do your push-ups first thing in the morning, do your push-ups at night.
Oh, so that's
he was
interesting. So I
good.
didn't know that. So your father kind of instilled that in you.
He did.
Yeah.
He did.
Yeah.
He kind of lived vicariously through me too, because I did very, very well in sports. And my dad, didn't really have that in his life, so he kind of, pushed in certain directions.
Mhm.
There was a bit of a yin and yang there, but I really admired my dad. We were so different in so many ways, but I love my dad.
Right.
And I love my mom, and they were just really good to me. I had the best years of their lives, I think,
Oh, that's
as a
great.
kid growing up. But yeah, but just, I was always fit, pretty much all my life. But I think I got in better shape as I got older
Mhm.
than when I was a teenager in high school and college. I know you also keep yourself very fit too. You have a regimen.
I do.
Yeah.
I do. Boy, is it uplifting. There are times where I don't feel like, going on the elliptical or taking a walk or doing that, but I know that I'm going to feel better. And there are times where I've had some surgeries where I couldn't, and it really, it made me feel down. Like I felt, and I'm thinking, why am I feeling this way? So, because I'm not exercising. Because exercising, I learned way back, like in the 70s, there was an actress that suffered with depression. And I remember her saying on TV that the doctor prescribed exercise. And I think that might have been around the time when they started talking about, your endorphins and
Serotonin,
everything.
dopamine,
Yeah,
all
just
that.
being, that uplifts in your brain and you feel better. So that stuck with me. So, and my mother would always tell me, even though my mother, because she wasn't someone who exercised, and because there was heart disease in her family, she told me at a pretty young age that, to exercise. And she even showed me some because I had children very young, so I lived with her. So she taught me exercises to strengthen my core muscles and, things like that. And I just loved it. But I bottomed out at times. I mean, I went through a very bad period in the probably like early
But
80s.
don't we all? We all have that story where things kind of ebb and flow, depending on
Yeah.
what's happening in your life.
Yeah. Oof, there was probably a lot happening in my life. And I got a couple of years of my life. I don't quite remember everything, which is kind of embarrassing.
Well, it might be a good thing.
It probably is. It probably is. I'd probably be in jail if I remembered everything. I don't know. But I do remember seeing a doctor, and I was sick. I was smoking. I was drinking.
You were
I was,
smoking and drinking.
and I have asthma.
Joyce.
I know.
With asthma? Wow.
Yeah, with that.
Things you'll learn, folks.
But the doctor said, you are going to have an early death if you keep this up.
Well, that'll scare the heebie-jeebies out of you.
And you know what? It didn't scare me. At first, I thought, like, yeah, right.
Denial.
I was in denial about that. And he said, stick out your hands. He says, you've got tremors. And I didn't know what that meant. I just thought I was nervous. But as I was driving home, it hit me. And I stopped at Kohl's. It used to be Caldor's before that. And I bought myself an exercise bike. And when I got it set up in my house, I could barely do 5 minutes on it. That's how out of shape I was at a pretty early age.
You got to thank the doctor for giving you that.
Yes, when he said that so bluntly,
Right.
you're not
It
going to
changed
live
your
long.
behavior.
Yeah, it did. And I poured the wine that I had in my house, down the sink. I took my cigarettes and I put them in the trash, and I poured another bottle of wine all over that. And I just said, I'm done. And I even took the bags of chips and threw them away. And that moment on,
Was that all like in
it's like-
one day?
that was all in one day.
So you basically quit
I
all this
quit
stuff cold
smoking, I quit drinking, and I changed my diet.
turkey. No more potato chips.
Well, that I used hypnosis on.
Okay.
Yeah, because I had gone through hypnosis for anxiety. My doctor sent me to this doctor who did hypnotherapy when I was in college, and that really helped me. And I thought, if I could do that, he taught me self-hypnosis. If I could do that with anxiety, I bet I can do this with food. And so the one thing that was my weakness was going home and eating a bag of potato chips. So,
I've done that a couple times
Yeah,
in my life.
yeah. and I did it. I did it. And to this day, I really could taste one chip. Remember that old commercial with Lay's potato chips? I bet you can't eat just one.
yes, it's-
I could eat just one.
I can't.
And it's just not satisfying. It's like,
It's like pistachio nuts with me.
yeah,
If
I do
have
like
one, I've got
pistachio
to eat the
nuts.
whole thing. Or peanut butter. That's my
Yeah.
kryptonite.
Yeah,
My wife says, there you are with the spoon and the peanut butter again. And a
Right.
half hour later, the whole thing is empty.
right. Sorry,
Incredible.
I'm always getting like
Am I getting you
allergy.
Am I getting you
allergy.
emotional?
That's it. Yes, my nose is
Talk
emotional.
about peanut butter. Look at that. She gets emotional.
But what I want to say, just to the people that are listening, that yes, that while I could have done that, there are people who have true addictions, and they really need to see, a specialist about that, because there is a difference between a true chemical dependency and you really need help for that.
Doesn't it all come from the same part of the brain, though? Or
Well,
is it different?
not really. It's
No?
almost like they used to call it almost like well, it's a disease or an allergy or something like that. When people have a true addiction, as one doctor said to me, it is like eating a box of X-Lax and being told you can't go to the bathroom.
Oh,
The urge is so strong that even people
just the thought of that. Ooh.
remember Imus in the morning.
Sure,
Imus.
he was awesome.
So Imus had a cocaine addiction,
Yeah.
and maybe there were other addictions there, but I remember the cocaine. And even 20 years being clean, he fell off the wagon. And they do say that it calls to them every day, but they really have to, train themselves, or maybe they take anti-anxiety medications or whatever they do, and programs they go to. It's something that awakens within them that, it takes more care than for me saying, I'm going cold turkey. And I'm not as arrogant to say, and you should go cold turkey too.
Self-righteous.
No,
Yeah, we
no,
don't need
no.
that. Everybody handles
I
things
always say,
differently.
discuss it with your doctor.
Right.
In fact, when I was being trained to be a hypnotherapist, the doctor who trained me said, if someone comes to you with an alcohol problem or drug problem, refer them. And I had a list of who to refer them to, because you just can't always do that with hypnotherapy. And the other side of that is some were coming for me to sign off on them that they saw a therapist and they really did not want to give up the drugs or the alcohol.
I
So,
didn't want to give them up.
no, they just came so they could show their parole officer or whatever
Check in the
that
box.
they were checking the box. And he said people will lie, to do that. And if someone's an alcoholic, AAA, you can't lie.
Right.
Wait, did I just say the AAA?
Yeah.
No,
was it
AA. I'm just sorry.
Yep, there you go.
I just did a crossword puzzle
We're-
where it
We're thinking
was
of
like
the
the
AAA. We need our
So
car.
sorry about
checked.
that.
Oh.
Yeah.
But I just admire so many people that are battling addiction because it just
Absolutely.
you just want to cheer them on, help them get the right help. Because let's face it, we're all addicted to something.
Well, that's it.
Every one of us,
That's
without
it.
exception.
Yeah, there's something. Some seem kind of harmless, like my son and my grandson make fun of me, and they say my addiction is Snapple.
Really, Snapple. I learned something new. Snapple.
So in the morning, I have peach tea Snapple, but at 3, 4 in the afternoon, I have lemon, and never the twain shall be mixed, because I do not like the lemon in the morning
Right,
or
right.
the peach in the
So
afternoon.
you're regimented with that.
I guess I am. This has been going on for, I never realized it until I said, oh my gosh, I'm almost out of Snapple. And then my smart aleck grandson said, oh, you mean you're cocaine?
Right,
And I
right, right.
said, I am not addicted to Snapple. It's like, yeah, right. And then I said, okay, so there's worse things to be addicted to.
Exactly. But like I was saying before, mine is peanut butter, almond butter.
Yeah,
I
that's
just
good
lo-
stuff,
I
though.
just love it. But yeah,
That's
not
good
to eat a whole,
stuff.
jar of it.
Well, when I go on trips, like a road trip, like from here to Florida, my go-to is in my bag. It's a jar of extra crunchy Jif peanut butter and some graham crackers. And that's it. I could live on that.
Well, I mean, I like one of my favorite snacks is getting plain rice cakes.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I throw some cottage cheese on there. I try to get like the cottage cheese with only 1 or 2 ingredients in it.
Right.
And my peanut butter, I try to find the most organic peanut butter I can find.
Yeah.
And I'll just, put a little bit of peanut butter in the rice cake, throw a little cottage cheese on top of it. And I need the crunch.
Yeah.
And that's
Yeah.
my kind of junk food
Right.
at times, which is not terrible. But if you're eating, 10 rice cakes,
Oh,
with
God,
yeah,
yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
And my wife's
Yeah.
just looking at me. How can you be hungry? I just fed you, and now you're eating rice cakes, peanut butter, and cottage cheese.
Right.
And I said,
Yeah.
well, yeah.
I couldn't do the cottage cheese. I can't do dairy, so I never tried it that way. But you put the cottage cheese on the rice cracker?
Yeah, I put the rice and I put a little bit of peanut butter on there. Well, not necessarily.
Wait, so you mix the peanut butter with the cottage
Or the cottage
cheese?
cheese.
No, that's crazy.
I
Sorry.
love
No,
it.
no, you're crazy.
I love it. Yeah. Well, my wife mixes like
What?
My wife, what does she do? She does like a sourdough sandwich or a sandwich with like what is it? Sauerkraut mixed in with mayonnaise or something like that. It's a weird combination.
Huh?
Yeah, yeah. As I look at her, whatever it may be, or it
Oh,
could be
okay.
mustard
All
or
right.
mayonnaise
All right.
mixed in with something. It's like,
Oh,
how
no.
could you do that?
You know what? Growing up on German, Austrian food,
I guess that makes sense.
yeah,
right?
I had mustard sandwiches with raw onions
Right.
growing up, which it was good. When I was a kid, it was good, but no, with bread
my
and
dad used
everything.
to eat peanut butter and sauerkraut together.
What?
Yeah.
I've never heard of such
Peanut butter and
insanity.
sauerkraut.
What?
How about you? We're going to talk about weird food combinations at some point. If
Yeah,
people-
what?
people like-
Yeah, does this sound right to you? Let us know in the comments. YouTube comments, please.
How many people are watching right now saying, you guys are crazy?
So wait a minute, like sauerkraut out of a jar and put it on top of peanut butter?
I guess that's what he did way back. It was so long ago, but I remember as a kid looking at it, I said, Dad, what are you doing?
Do you like sauerkraut?
I do.
Would you put it with peanut butter?
No. I might mix it with peanut butter. I might mix it. I don't know.
You know what I like?
Maybe.
I like honey on peanut butter.
Honey?
Yeah.
I like honey. Or get a good organic honey.
Yeah, see, I don't do the organic with the peanut butter. I like Jif extra crunchy.
Right.
And anytime I buy the organic, it's like, it's okay. Sometimes you got to mix it, gets the oil on top. But that's the one thing, it's like, nope, I like my
Well, let's face
Jif.
it, Joyce, none of us
Yes.
are purists.
No.
I mean, you and I are very strict with our
Life is
nutrition
too
for the most
short
part.
not
It
to
does.
enjoy certain
I
things.
say like the
Yes.
80-20 rule
Right.
for the most part.
Yeah. You know, that made me think of something. I don't think I ever told you this story. This might sound too crazy to.
Oh, here we go, folks.
No,
Get your
this might
popcorn.
sound-
Get your
this might
popcorn.
sound too insane because it had to do where in 2013, the end of 2013, I was moving from Florida back to Connecticut. And I was moving into a house. Now, if you ever try to find a rent when you're in Florida and there's 4 of you and you've got 2 dogs. So I called a real estate agent that I knew of. And he said, I don't handle rentals. I'm so sorry. I only handle, homes for sale. And then he called me back the next day. And he said, well, you'll never believe what happened. This guy that I went to school with came in. And he asked me if I would handle his house rental. And I told him, I don't handle rentals, but I know a woman who's looking for one.
Wow.
And they're a really nice family. So they put us together, sight unseen. I go to the house. And they tell me that it's a family-owned house. Their mother and father, died in the house. Well, I think the father died before, and then mother was the last one to die. And we're the first people to move in here. And they were so, cautious about everything because it was their beloved home, and they only lived right down the street. And I felt like I was, interrupting, this is their life. This is the house they always went to,
Like you're
and all
imposing
of that. Yeah, that I just felt like something was a little, off about it. But I was so grateful to have this house. I remember unpacking my peanut butter because that's all we had to eat.
Your Jif peanut butter?
Yes, my Jif peanut butter, extra crunchy. When we came in, we hadn't gone grocery shopping yet or anything. And so this is a story about how I had an argument with a ghost.
An argument with a ghost.
Yes. I'll call it a spirit.
That's going to be the title of this episode. Joyce Aru,
Oh my gosh.
Argument with a Ghost.
So as I unpacked my peanut butter and all that,
Right.
I went upstairs. There were 2 bedrooms upstairs, 2 bedrooms downstairs. And when I got upstairs, my son said to me, Mom, he said, there's something weird in the kitchen. He said, I think you should come down and see it. And I went downstairs, and these beautiful white cabinets in the kitchen, which we saw when we came in,
Yeah.
everything was pristine in this house, pristine. The cabinets looked like they were bleeding beads of blood, but it was like a dark blood.
And he saw it as well?
Oh, he
You
called
both?
me. He
Really?
called me saying, you have to see this. And the cabinets would be like beaded all over, but the next one wasn't. And the next one was. And it was up on the ceiling. And I wish I took a picture of
Is
this.
this during the day or night?
This was evening.
Evening, okay.
The only thing I could think of is the landlords are going to kill me. They're going to kill us. And I said, did something explode? I'm like, Jeffrey, did something explode? And he said, no. So I stood up on the counters and I'm smelling it. There's no odor, nothing. But it was just a mess. So we all got rags and everything and we cleaned it all up. And I was like, what the heck is this? What is this? So that's, then we go on to the next day. And suddenly all the clothes in my closet, just like the closet breaks and my clothes go like flying out. And then Matthew, my grandson, walks out of his room and he said, I've got this strange blue orb in my room. He said, did it come by you? And I said, no. And I said, oh, it's probably just like from the light. Because now I'm starting to think, oh.
Do we really want to
There's
be here? This is getting a little
no,
funky.
I'm thinking there's a spirit in this house and they don't want us here. But I didn't say it to anybody.
Poltergeist.
No, I didn't say it to anyone. Then my bedroom, and I was in the bedroom alone because my husband was sick at the time, so he was downstairs. He couldn't walk upstairs. My bedroom got so freezing cold that I felt like I would just die. So I called the landlord and they said, well, that's really odd because, the heat's on here. I don't know why it's not, happening in your room, but we fixed it. It seems okay. And during the night in my room, because it was a Cape Cod style house,
Yes.
the pipes were like through these little door
Yeah.
and it went into the bathroom. Well, the pipes burst in my bedroom. That's how
Somebody
cold
was
it
ticked off with you, Joyce.
So the topper of this was, so now we're into, it was Thanksgiving now because it was towards the end of the year. So I remember it was Thanksgiving. And, the turkey's there. I made a lasagna. I made the this. I made the that. I had apple pie. I had everything on the counter. And, the family's sitting in the other room. And I said, okay, everyone, let's go in and eat. And we hear this loudest, like it sounded like an explosion. And I had a big glass bowl, like a huge one, sitting on the counter that exploded. And shards of glass, but it was like, it looked like frost.
Yeah.
Was on everything.
And went in all the food.
All the food had to be
So the
thrown
food was
out.
shot.
All the food.
Oh, Thanksgiving.
So that night, I went downstairs. Everyone's asleep. And I said, because I knew her name, that woman, the mother that passed away. Her name.
You think it was her?
Her name was Frances. Yes, because I said, Frances, I said, I know you're here. And I know you're upset that we're in your house, but this is my house now. You need to cross over or wherever you're going because you're scaring my family. And I've had enough of this. And I'm going to speak to you as mother to mother, woman to woman. You crossed the line when you wrecked my meal. And I said, so I would greatly appreciate it if you would just leave us alone. And that was it.
That was done.
We lived there another year, and that was it.
I give you a lot of credit for staying as long as you did.
Oh, I
all
got
those
mad.
incidents.
I was.
Yeah, you were at the end of your rope.
I was because I never felt that. I'm sure
And you
other
got
people.
no video or no pictures of any of this.
No.
I would have loved to share it on What's Good with John and
No,
Joyce.
I have a picture of the food before it exploded. Everything
Nothing
exploded.
with the shards in it afterwards.
No, and I didn't even. I often think of that. Like, why didn't I take it? The reason why I didn't take a picture of the cabinets is because I thought that it was something that we did,
Right.
and they were so like cautious of people moving into this house. I didn't want to call them and say, your cabinets are bleeding.
I know. Okay, these people are nuts. Get out of here, right? Yeah. Go find
Exactly.
another place.
Exactly. But I try to find, an answer to this because I always felt like, well, there has to be a reason that this happened. But there was no coffee pot that exploded. There were no bottles of soda that exploded. everything was packed away. Nothing was wet, nothing except the cabinets. And it wasn't like they were just varnished and they painted over. There was no odor at all. It was
in the natural, it
nothing.
made no sense at all.
And natural, it made no sense. And when my clothes kind of went flying out into
Yeah.
the room, and when Matthew saw
I
the
had-
blue
at the point, I
orb,
would have said, I'm out of here. I'm done.
yeah, but it's just, I think I was exhausted from the move.
Right.
I was exhausted from it. And I think had they done anything to my peanut butter, I mean, I would have been.
That would be it. Don't mess with my crunchy Jif. Right?
Right. So I'm so sorry.
I
took
don't have
up
any
the
ghost
time.
stories myself.
Yeah, I think that's the
feel like
only
I'm
one
slacking
that I
here.
have. That's the only one I have. I just have premonitions and dreams that come true, but they're always like really intense, big things that
As
happen.
long as you don't have one about me.
No.
Okay, that's good.
No, I have only good dreams about you. I do. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. But I'm sorry for taking up that time.
No,
But
I
from
mean, I
peanut
find
butter
it
to a ghost
fascinating.
story. Oh my gosh.
When I was a kid, I mean, I loved all that stuff. I used to watch Chiller, bloop, bloop, bloop,
Did
bloop,
that
bloop.
bother you at all?
No, not really.
You never
I
remember?
did. No, that's not true. A couple of times I did get so scared that I just remember going up the stairs to our house when we lived in a split level, and Mom and Dad were sleeping, and I just, nestled myself in the bed with them because I was so scared.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that didn't happen all that often. I used to like a lot of those really scary movies when I was a kid, even some of the slashers, which I
Oh
don't like
no,
admitting.
not the
I
slashers.
can't watch them anymore.
Oh, good.
I used to love Nightmare on Elm Street
Yeah.
and The Exorcist and all. And
Oh,
I can't watch that stuff anymore. I don't want that seed
Right.
planting in my body.
Right. Yeah.
But I do love a good supernatural thriller where that you can use your imagination. It's not right out there in front of you, the blood and gore. I don't like that.
I don't like
No,
that either.
no.
But I like true crime. I like true crime because it's not the blood and gore usually that kind of blur that out.
Right.
But I like figuring out like who did do
Well,
this.
it's a whodunit, analytical skill.
Right. Yeah, because it's analytical.
Like my wife loves Murders in the Building.
Yes.
She's a
Yes,
big fan of that.
yeah.
I'm watching it.
See, that's
I'm
fun.
kind of getting into it a little bit.
Yeah.
Kind of getting into it.
Right. Well, but we're both, we won't say what we're watching. Well, like the Madison, because that will be around for a while. But the Madison is
Madison,
really good.
Virgin River,
Yes.
Bridgerton, The Gilded Age.
Yes.
Stranger Things.
Yes.
Love that.
Wait, are
So
they
well
coming back with a movie or something
Stranger
that
Things?
is the prequel to Stranger Things?
They have to.
I-
Remember
I-
they said it was the ending? But this is just way too popular
Yeah,
for
I
them.
love
It's too much
Stranger
money to be made. But
Things.
yeah, a prequel. I did hear about that. I heard there's
Yeah.
a Top Gun 3 coming out. They're working on a
Oh.
Top Gun 3.
Wow.
Love the first two.
Yeah.
They were great.
Well, Tom will never give up.
Nah. I mean, as long as Tom Cruise is part of that franchise, it'll continue to do well. Like Mission Impossible 145.
Right.
He'll be doing those forever.
Yes.
They're money making.
So the message of this show today is stand
There
up
is
to
no message.
stand up to a ghost.
That's right.
Tell them to get out of your house.
Joyce, it's been a lot of fun just getting here and just having a conversation. It gets kind of back to our roots
Right.
when we were practicing in your basement at your home.
We were
about
practicing.
a year and a half,
No,
2 years
we
ago.
were practicing this way before, just having coffee together and
Right.
talking. So
Because we met
yeah.
in a coffee shop. And we had worked together at a radio station years and years ago, and we met in a coffee shop, and we were both looking for something different. We had felt like there's got to be something more than what we're doing now.
Yeah.
And we're blessed to be doing what we're doing now. It's exciting, but we needed a challenge.
Well, we always have positive talk, and we wanted to spread it to others, especially during, these times. There's always going to be these times. So we just wanted to, I think, spread some good news.
And
So
we talked about a podcast idea, and you said yes, and I said yes. And we were looking for somebody to do it with, and we kind of looked at each other, and the light bulb went out.
right,
Why not you?
right.
Why not you?
I know we weren't
Right,
even
remember that?
thinking of each other.
Right. And we look at each other like, wow.
Yeah,
That's how it really basically came about.
right. Best thing that ever happened.
It is. And then we met with these great people at Direct Line Media in Brantford, where we do the show with Stefania and Dave, and then of course your guy who does all the marketing, Robert
Yeah.
Graham, and we have a heck of a team here.
He's our guy now.
He's our guy now.
Yes.
And we're really grateful for the people because we're doing our thing talking, but we come into a studio, everything's all set up for us.
Yeah,
People do the reels for us, and we're very, very fortunate to have a team that's really helping make us look good.
yeah. And it's just like, to me, it's like my respite. It's, it's a place where I go to speak with you about like Like, what's good? Like, what's fun in the world? What are you
We
watching?
look forward to it every week, Joyce.
And the guests that we have on
Oh.
are so inspiring. My
We've had
gosh.
so many, and there's a lot more guests coming our way too, and we're going to be able to do some, guests coming in from other parts of the country with the technology we
Right.
have. There's some really nationally, maybe internationally known people that we're working on for the future. So the show continues to progress and evolve, and you're a big part of that by telling people about us, because that's how we grow.
Yeah.
The more popular this gets, the more we feel we can be a blessing in people's lives.
We just want to spread what's good.
Yep, and
It's
you're a
good.
blessing in ours. So thank you so much
Thank
for tuning
you.
in to What's Good with
Yes.
John and Joyce. Available on all major platforms. Subscribe today on YouTube if you haven't already. Like it, share it. And until next time, God bless you and your family.
We love you. Bye for now.
Hey, I heard you got engaged. Congratulations. Now it's time to book the DJ. And that's where we come in. Hi, I'm John Cadillac Seville with John Seville Entertainment, Wedding Wire, and the Knot 2026 Couples Choice Awards winner. You can call me directly if you like at 203-988-0658. We'll set up your free consultation. Or go to johncaddyman.com. That's 203-988-0658 or johncaddyman.com. We offer excellence, peace of mind, and a great time for all. John Seville Entertainment, a name you know and can trust.